is the wounds of the heart and the scars on the mind. A pleasant morning to one and all present here. Myself, Usha. Before starting off, we request everyone to follow the basic instructions during the session. I request everyone not to send any unwanted comments during the session. There will be time given to ask your queries and clarify your doubts. It is mandatory for all the participants to fill the feedback form, which will be sent during the session to claim your attendance. Feedback form link will be posted in the YouTube channel and it will be open for 15 minutes. So, I request everyone to be attentive and fill the form. Rape. Rape has become the most common news that we come across these days. Every 16 minutes, a woman is molested somewhere in India. From 3 months old baby girl to 90-year-old women are sexually assaulted. In the year 2019, the country had recorded 88 rape cases every single day. Overall, it was 32,033 reported rape cases in the year. Rape, the topic for today's panel discussion. I'm very much delighted to welcome our panelists for the day. Ms. Kavita, ACP of East Division. Ms. Geraldine, Life Forensic Doctor. Ms. Sumitra Acharya, Center for Access to Justice. Ms. Santa Selvia, social activist and founder of NGO Hope Nest. Mr. Rajkishan, student representative. Ms. Ridhi Ranka, student representative. Now, I request Ulekha to introduce our first panelist.
Thank you, Usha. I'm grateful for this opportunity to welcome our honorable guest for today, Ms. Kavita Karyappa from Kodagu, a police officer who is the Assistant Commissioner of Traffic and Planning, Bangalore. She is the daughter of Chinnappa and married to Mr. Anjappar Vanda. She completed BA LLB from Bangalore National Law College, after which she did her higher studies and then joined police force. She worked with the NIA, National Investigation Agency, as the Deputy Superintendent of Police, and she has been promoted as the Assistant Commissioner of Police as Traffic Control and Planning in Bangalore City. In 2001, she received a national award for e-governance from the Prime Minister, and in the same year, she received a gold medal from the Chief Minister of Karnataka. I heartily welcome you, ma'am.
Thank everyone.
Thank you, Lekha. I would like to hand over the session to Ms. Kavita. Over to you, ma'am.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. I was just telling Mr. Sharon that I won't be able to, sit in the session for a long time because I have a crisis at home and my little daughter is unwell. So, as I had promised to be here today, I would like to talk to you just what I've felt throughout in my 21 years of service. Because in my 21 years of service, the closest that came to my heart was working at the Women Police Station. I was in Women Police Station in the year 2017 for a brief period of 7 months. Just before I left for National Investigation Agency, I was posted there on OOD basis, official on duty. So in the initial years of my service, I had told my friends there was no need for a separate Women Police Station. I said women can walk in anywhere. They should have the freedom to go to any police station and a woman officer can be present in that police station. And I did not want the women to be segregated from the mainstream. And during my tenure at Women Police Station, I came across many complaints from women, married, unmarried, and women who were separated. There were several issues actually. And the sexual assault was one of them and it was major. Now women, first of all, I would like to welcome you all and wish all the women folk here on Girl Child's Day. And women are special. And we have had sayings, and there's no second thought about it. And safety is a vast subject. Now, any growing city has safety issues, but Bangalore city is safer and better than many more cities. And we are within the top 10 top cities, which is considered safe in our country. And coming to safety, see, I won't say rape. Any sexual assault on a woman, it can be physical and mental also in nature. Because some women, cannot cope up with mental assault also. This will lead to other consequences later, and also at her workplace and in her homes also. And women are, many a times we say that going out is not safe for women. It is not so. We can be hurt at home also, like in a parental home, by the relatives, in marital homes, women at schools, colleges, streets, and anywhere, workplace also. There are several laws. A constitution provides for safety and equality before the eye of law, and women is not uh, anywhere less capable, according to me. And one of the questions that was asked to me before I joined police at my interview was, do you think women can excel on par with men? I said, of course, yes, sir. And today also, I tell my friends, maybe you have to put in a little bit of extra work, extra concern, and extra time at work, and maybe gain more knowledge to be equal with men. Now, physically, we are not equal with men, but mentally and in no other field we are any less actually. To and we have several policies by the government also where protection is given to women. We have Bangalore City Police has Suraksha. This is an app which is in case of a distress. If a woman has this app on her phone, it's Android based phones can have this, and just at a press of a button, the control room will be alerted, and even the relatives and friends of the concerned person who is in distress will be alerted. Even Metro is now allowing pepper spray to be carried by the women actually. And when Isha Pant ma'am was Southeast DCP, she ensured that women were part of all the programs, and gender equality trainings also were given. Gender sensitive programs were also given to the policemen as well as policewomen, and some public were also called during that time. And also there was an attempt to create give confidence to women by going out to reclaim public places. Like we would say, it is dark, don't go out. It is not right to say that. We have to equip them. We should not say that don't do this, don't do that. Equip them so they feel safe to go out anywhere, because in case of an emergency, you cannot say if it is night, I cannot step out, these kind of things. And the government has set up women police stations, and then we have NGOs working along with the government and the police. And we have an agency called Parihar in the commissioner's office, which is also an NGO, and complaints attended in connection with the marital issues and girls also. And if we look at law, and Sumitra madam, one of the panelists will definitely speak about this. And there is something called POCSO. POCSO is for protection of children from sexual offences. And going by the recent issues that have been happening in our country, the government felt we needed more stringent laws and actions to be taken. Because what I've seen in our police station during my tenure at women police station was, I had registered a POCSO case, and the man was not able to get bail till the end of the trial actually. Otherwise, there are chances of him coming out and tampering the evidence and such things. And Bangalore is one of the 10 safe cities. And I'm sure you will all agree with this. And most importantly, to prevent sexual harassment or sexual assault is to report. Now, most times women keep quiet, and so it all begins with a smaller issue actually, like eve teasing and just harassment over calls and chats also. And girls also need to be very, very careful who they talk to. And many a times girls have befriended people on Facebook, and they have exchanged photographs. Even though there are many laws, we also need to be very careful when we deal with strangers and also known people. And at workplace also, there have been committees set up to report. Women do have many provisions, but it is very, very important that they report any such crime. Conclude here, because I got to take my daughter to the hospital. And I look forward to your questions. I will listen to your queries also and answer them. Good luck to you all. God bless.
Thank you, ma'am. That was intense. I request Hemavati to introduce our second panelist.
Today we have Miss Geraldine to voice the content on injustice happening to women. To tell about her, she is a profile forensic doctor of medicine. She is committed to protect life from conception to natural death. She was graduated from Mount Carmel College in 1979 with degree in science and was graduated from St. John's Medical College in 1983 with MBBS degree post graduation in forensic medicine from Bangalore Medical College in 2003. Oh, where did I stop? So sorry.
You didn't finish your introduction.
Today we have Miss Geraldine to voice her content on injustice happening to women. To tell about her, she is a profile forensic doctor of medicine. She is committed to protect life from conception to natural death. She was graduated from Mount Carmel College in 1979 with degree in science and was graduated from St. John's Medical College in 1985 with MBBS degree post graduation in forensic medicine from Bangalore Medical College in 2003 with diploma. The first woman to study forensic medicine in the RGUHS University 1998-2000 and post graduation in forensic medicine from Rajarajeshwari Medical College in 2015 with master's degree. Also the first lady candidate in forensic medicine for that first. Currently assistant professor in the Department of Forensic Medicine, Bowring Lady Curzon Medical College and Research Institute. She is a teacher and practitioner of natural fertility planning, presented scientific papers at various state, national and international conferences on issues related to law and medicine.
Thank you, Hemavati. The session is handed over to Ms. Geraldine.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Shall I start with my PPT? Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
This one is yeah. So, topic challenges faced by rape victims, physically and mentally. And I thought, let me give a fresh perspective to this whole issue of violence against women. And from a perspective where you identified the problem, the origins of why we are here at the level of the rape culture, and then move on to the solutions. Particularly as students and young people, I wish to communicate this whole vision of how we need these areas of relationships between a man and a woman. That is the next. Huh? Okay. No, the second one. The first one? Yeah. Okay. Here you're seeing on the screen, as a timing, in the beginning, God created. Okay. This is from Genesis. And many of us are aware of the Judeo Christian understanding of the creation of man and why it is important to know who created us and why. Okay. So here you have God creating Adam. Yeah. Yeah. And then you see how he has created us in his image. Therefore, we are like God himself, and he created male and female. So we are together right from the beginning. And this relationship is very important and very powerful. And this should be the foundation in which we understand the violence against women, whether it is rape or murder or any other kind of offenses against the woman. Yeah. And most of these offenses are created by the man. It is the man who is violent. Why? Because the woman is weaker than him. Okay? But I am taking it from the Judeo Christian tradition. And this is from the Old Testament. And you see how beautifully God blessed them, and God said to them, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over birds of the air, and over every living thing that moves upon the earth. So the man is in control. So when he is in control over the entire earth, how is it that he loses his self control when it comes to his relationship with the woman? Okay? So, this is the thinking that I would like you all to take home with you all today. Yeah? Then again, why did he have to create a woman? He created the man and then he moved on to creating the woman. Yeah. So again, Genesis chapter 2, 18 to 25. You please read this for yourself. Go back and read it. This will be your homework. Okay. You see, he says, the Lord God said, it is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him a helper fit for him. So, this beautiful creation of the man and the woman is very important to keep in mind today. Even today, we are created beautifully, both the man and the woman. And what goes wrong is when we come into the culture of rape and, whatever, adultery, all these sexual offenses. So you see how he creates the woman. The Lord God calls a deep sleep to fall upon the man, and while he slept, took one of his ribs and closed up its place with flesh. And the rib that which the Lord God had taken from the man, he made into a woman and brought her to the man. You see, so beautiful. Yeah. God creates both the man and the woman. You see, he's in deep sleep. God has created this woman from him, and then he gives this woman to him. Okay? And what is Adam's response? Then the man said, this at last is bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman because she was taken out of man. Therefore, a man leaves his father and his mother and clings to his wife, and they become one flesh. And the man and his wife were both naked and were not ashamed. You see, this is how we are created. Our fertility and our sexuality is a very, very important part of how we are created and why we are created. Okay, I would like you all to keep this concepts, these ideas in your mind as you grow and discover in your relationships why it is so important to safeguard this beautiful body that we have been given. Okay, now how did the destruction come into a man's life? Okay, all these are myths, these are stories to give us the concepts of when we move away from the godliness with which we are created. Rape and sexual offenses, child sexual abuse, all these homosexuality, all these are sins which are go against our natural bodies, yeah, the natural law. This is what I am talking to you all about today. The natural law is based on how our bodies function. You see, and how did this falling away from grace, from health, from goodness come is when they listen to the serpent. Yes, the snake and the sin, the fall of man from grace and moving away from paradise, which was beautiful. The man and woman loved each other, they loved God, and they were happy in nature. Yeah, so this is where you have the fall from grace. But what was the corollary? What was the command? Yeah, to keep this beautiful paradise, this Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve, beautiful, happy with nature and so on, was that God said, "You shall not eat the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, neither shall you touch it, lest you die." You see, this knowledge is so powerful that if you took that, you, Adam and Eve would die. Death is the consequence of the sin of disobedience. And what is the serpent, or how did evil enter the world? The serpent said to the woman, "You will not die." The opposite of what God had commanded them not to do. Yeah, you will not die, for God knows when you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil. You see, knowledge is so powerful because this is the knowledge of God Himself, the Creator. So when you get this knowledge of creation, the possibility of death is also there. And how does the death come into the world? You know how Cain kills Abel. Yeah, first is the creation. Adam and Eve create like God, they create Cain and Abel. And after that, Cain kills Abel. Okay? Okay. Now, again, God announces the consequences for human sin. It's not just the laws that we have made, which have been changing over the years. I think my colleagues will again be talking about the punishment for rape, the death penalty, the POXO Act, where the babies are killed, which are conceived in rape. Yeah, but straight away, any sin, there are consequences. And what are the consequences for our first parents? They had to leave Eden, they had to leave the garden, the paradise. And he said, "In the sweat of your face, you shall eat bread till you return to the ground. For out of it you were taken. You are dust, and to dust you shall return." So, as you know, what happened to the young woman who was raped in UP, Hathras? She literally died after the violent attacks by these four young men. And again, you see the concept of rape, that which is not good, sexually offensive behavior, is again said in, starts off with Genesis, the rape of Dinah. Now, Dinah, the daughter of Leah, whom she had borne to Jacob, went out to visit the women of the land. They were not the Jewish people, the women whom she went to meet. And when Shechem, the son of Hamor the Hivite, the prince of the land, saw her, he seized her and lay with her and humbled her. And his soul was drawn to Dinah, daughter of Jacob. He loved the maiden and spoke tenderly to her. This is at the individual personal level. Supposedly, they loved each other physically. But what was the consequence? Shechem and the entire group of Hivites, all their relatives, were killed by the sons of Jacob, Simeon and Levi, and the women were raped by these men, and the children were taken. You see, the outcome of any violent sexual behavior, the consequences are destructive. The other two cases of rape in the Old Testament is Judges, the rape of the concubine in Gibeah. And you see how they explain that this was a concubine. Okay, she was not a married woman. And yet, you see, and they knew her and abused her all night until the morning. And what is the consequence of this particular act? The entire there is destruction of all the Israelites. There is again death and murder. Yeah. So the other reference is in 2 Samuel chapter 13 and 14, the rape of Tamar. You see again here the difference in the physical strength is highlighted. But being stronger than she, Amnon forced her and lay with her. And what is the consequence for him? He is killed. He is killed for his actions. So, the importance of the fertility and sexuality of men and women is very clear, and the understanding of this relationship starts right from the beginning. And in different nations and in different religions, the understanding of men and women, their relationship is what constitutes a lot of the criminal behavior today. So, if we want to change this, you have to consider who we are, where we are, and how we have come to this, and what is the vision we have for one another, both men and women. It's not just the predator, it's not just the rapist and the raped, but it's the relationship which is at fault. Yeah. And now see what is the current scenario in India. This is the latest data. There is an average of 87 rape cases daily in India, all over. Okay. And this is a terrible indictment of what's happening in our country today. And you, as young people, men and women, you have to change this. The purpose of your education is to see that every man and woman and child in this nation deals with the kind of issues that we are facing. Yeah. And so, and see, there's a 7% rise in crimes against women in 2019. Why? Why is this happening? Yeah. So, this is where I would like you all to think and do your homework further. Now, again, coming to uh, what are the consequences? One of the very important areas, that come in, of course, my lawyer colleague will be speaking about the laws relating to rape and sexual offenses. But this is an area which I would like to highlight because I'm a doctor of medicine and I'm a pro-lifer. Yeah. So we protect life from conception till natural death because that baby is innocent. You never kill the innocent person for the crimes of their parents. Okay, so please be clear about this. Pregnancy may result from rape. And as you know, rape can be a one time act or it can be repeated over a period of time, where the women, the possibility of a woman becoming pregnant is more. So, what do we do with this issue? The laws of our land says that a woman, if she says she has been raped, she has every right to kill her baby up till birth, which is one of the horrible things that is happening. Alex, not moving. The next slide. That's it. That's it. Yeah. So, what are my recommendations? This is just a simple perspective that I am giving. But I do believe that education is vital to education and to strengthen family life. Believe that rape can and should be stopped. Professional intervention when necessary. Appropriate training of personnel of the ancillary services involved in caring for victims of sexual violence. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
That was breathtaking. We have
I hope
Amala
so.
Amala Dharati to introduce our third panelist.
My humble greetings to one and all present here. It's an honor to introduce the next panel member. Today we have Ms. Sumitra Acharya to share her clear thoughts on the economic injustice occurring to women and the laws related to this. To tell about her, she completed her BA LLB and LLM in prestigious universities and then worked as a senior research assistant to various senior advocates for quite a period. In 2017, she was selected by the UNICEF project to draft a manual for the judiciary to combat trafficking of women and children for commercial sexual exploitation. Assist asset victims at court. She worked as a research consultant at the Center for Women and Law for KHPT project on empowering marginalized women through judicial training. In 2011, she was selected for the US IVLP to study women and justice. She has done a research work on reproductive rights of men with disabilities in selected districts of Karnataka and Orissa in the year 2017-18 as a part of research project undertaken by Center for Women and Law, funded by National Commission for Women, New Delhi. So let us welcome Ms. Sumitra Acharya to give her valuable opinion in this platform. We welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Thank you, dear students. Thanks for this opportunity. Well, I want to just share a few of my thoughts about the abuse and rape laws. So one day, as a I am a practicing lawyer. I take up cases, especially I specialize in women's cases, so domestic violence and those kind of cases I do handle. I also assist the acid attack survivors and also rape survivors in courts. It so happened that when I was assisting the acid attack survivor, the public prosecutor who is attached to the case has called me and said, Sumitra, there is this case where the 16-year-old girl who was mentally ill was raped by her father's friend. And she had lost her father a long time back, and then the neighbor and the friend of father has taken advantage of her mental illness and has gone into the house of the prosecutrix and raped her. And poor girl has no understanding what has happened to her, and her mother has left her for a daily wage earning. And then by the time she comes back only in the evening, when she came till then, the girl was alone at home, crying, sitting in the corner. And the mother comes, and then girl cries. She can't even express what has happened to her. And then mother realizes that her clothes are torn and she's not in a proper shape. And then immediately mother changes her clothes and gives her good wash and keeps her happy. And then she was not sure what to do. And then somehow she decides to give a police complaint. And then that is how it reaches the courtroom. Now, in the courtroom, the biggest challenge is how to, how to make this girl lead her evidence. You all know that that's very important in every kind of case. So this challenge court very often faces, and then law will of course say that yes, they have a right to have a take consultation of a special educator or psychologist, this, that, and all. But when we really go inside the courtrooms and try practice things, we know that how difficult it is to organize the help of these specialized people. So this public prosecutor has asked me to come into the picture, and then he requested me to help this survivor to lead her evidence. So it was a very big challenge for me because I'm also not an expert in dealing with survivors and understanding their pain. So anyway, I made my sincere effort and I went and met the girl. And then I just sat with her for a long time, trying to understand her way of articulation and everything. And finally, I realized that what kind of mental health she's suffering, even mother didn't treat her or anything. They are just doing some, mother is just taking care of this girl, every needs of this girl. So, but she could articulate little, could tell me a few things. And then somehow I contacted some psychologists and they helped this girl as well to speak about what she has faced. And then finally this girl did come to court and lead her evidence. Now, that was a very amazing thing because even the judge who tried to take her evidence earlier couldn't really understand what this girl was saying, and second time, with a lot of people got together, like psychologists, lawyer, we all there with her, and this girl also felt so courageous to talk about, and then she did leave her evidence in a very good way, and judge was very happy that. So then the conviction did happen. Now the question is that we keep forgetting about all these things when it comes to rape laws. We have rape law yet. We had old law. Now we have 2013 law, amendment law. I do not know how far you all know about it. There is a drastic change that have come in the rape laws. Thankfully, it was a very good change, I would say, because earlier when we talk about rape, it was only the sexual intercourse between a man and a woman that was considered as, without her consent, is considered as a rape. Any kind of sexual violation of women is not considered as rape earlier. So the tough task was to prove that that criminal justice system demands 100% beyond reasonable doubt proof. So that would give lot of opportunities for the accused to get away from any punishment, because half the time the prosecution will fail to prove that there is sexual intercourse which has happened. So, and sexual intercourse in the sense that has to be 100% vaginal or peno-vaginal sexual act that should have happened. So this kind of proof was very difficult to show to the court. That was what used to happen. But now, if you see 2013 amendment, the definition of rape law has totally changed in the sense now, apart from peno-vaginal sexual intercourse, court also recognizes the using of any object or any other body part to insert to the vagina or urethra or anus of the woman. And also the court does recognize the not just the object, any object, but also manipulates any part of her body so as to cause penetration to the vagina, urethra, or anus of the woman, or also oral sex, applies his mouth to her body parts and tries to manipulate her body. So that way, this definition has expanded itself to the extent to say that rape is not just someone actually having sexual intercourse, but any kind of unpleasant touch itself can amount to rape now. But now the question is, how do you prove it? That is the biggest challenge even now we are facing before the courtroom, because when we say rape, there is certain circumstances where court says the certain criteria which also should follow, has to be proved that the rape has happened against woman's will and without her consent, and if it is with her consent, but it is the consent is taken to make her believe that she's lawfully married to a man, or consent is taken because she is of unsound mind, or she was under intoxication, or under any stupefying substance. She was she was given some intoxicating substances, and then she was raped, or she might have given consent, but she was not able to understand the consequences of that consent. And when she is under 18 years of age, then law says even if the consent is given, we will not consider that as a consent. And when she is unable to communicate consent, so in these people's cases, you cannot say that the rape has happened. So consent becomes the most important factor in the rape law or any kind of sexual abuse laws, if you take even the child sexual abuse laws. But you have to understand that age of consent for sexual activity was 16 years earlier. Now they have changed it to 18 years. So anyone has a sexual activity with someone who is below 18 is presumed that she has not given consent. Now that also is kind of bringing a lot of questions and challenges before the courtrooms, because by 16 years, even the girls do consent and they do have their interest in sexual activities and they do involve themselves. And there are a lot of cases on child sexual abuse wherein the courts are facing these challenges and they are trying to look into the consent factor. And then when being told that the child has really consented, they are trying to not to punish the boy. That is something which is also been happening. But then now, coming back to the consent again, what happens if you may have heard this case of Mohammed Faruqi versus state that is the 2017 case, wherein the girl with whom he is involved with and he has oral sex, where he apologizes to her when she says that, in spite of me telling no, you have went on raping me, and you have went on having these sexual activities with me. And then she was a student from abroad, and she was being raped that way by the he was a director of Weekly Live movie. And then this proof was there before the court saying that he apologizes for his wrong. But then unfortunately, court ends up saying that after this incident, she says there's a mail where she says that she loves him, but she is very disappointed with what has happened and these kind of things. Now, this is something which we always feel very shocked, because the court, even now, if you see courts, many of the judgments, if you read, you realize that we are more concerned about the not about the pain or the insult or the dignity that has been taken away of the woman by this kind of act, but we are more into the her relationship, her closeness to the person, and her being knowing the person involved. All these kinds of, even though the rape law and the Indian Evidence Act clearly says that her past sexual experiences or her activities should not be a matter, but then it does matter to the court. So rape is not considered as something which is really annoying woman or taking away her dignity, but it is considered more as her, preserving her chastity or preserving her virginity. And that is where courts are more concerned than respecting woman's dignity and understanding that when she says no, she means no only. So in that particular case, the court says that feeble no may not amount to no, it may amount to. So you should read that case. It's very interesting in the sense we can understand that when woman says no, I have not consented, still the court says that, oh, she says she loves this man, that means, it tries to presume things out of that and tries to say that she has consented. So then the fact is that the question is then what happens for the trafficked women or those girls who are trafficked in young age, or there are a lot of women in prostitution whom I come across who are being sexually abused most of the time. So what can these girls, these women, how can they get justice is the biggest question. So if you are saying that you will protect somebody, if the role of law is to protect people from being raped or preventing, for me it is also prevention from rape, then how are you going to protect these kind of women who are into sex work, who are being trafficked and who are being married also? Because see, when it comes to 2013 amendment came, but the law has again failed to protect the interest of girls who are married, because it says that it is not a rape if a husband has a sexual intercourse with his wife who is not below 15 years. That means we have a Child Marriage Act which prohibits child marriage, and where we also give this advantage for a husband to have a sexual intercourse, and we tell the wife, no, you cannot call it as a rape. And then what happens? Only in 2013 itself, this particular provision under the law was challenged before the court, in the case of Independent Thought versus Union of India. And it was only after that that the court has struck down that particular provision and saying that now the law is that any woman below the age of 18 has to be presumed that she has not consented for the rape, and it will be considered as a rape, even though there is a gray area where we say that consenting age for sex is above 16. So which I already told you, that kind of conflict may come in, but then the problem is we are not recognizing the marital rape as a rape yet, and we are trying not to get into that. I have one of my client who has gone through a lot of domestic violence, and then she tells me that she has one daughter already, and that second time her husband has forced himself on her, and she says it is a rape for her. And she says that it was a traumatic experience for me, the way, because then a lot of conflict was going on at home, violence is going on at home, and he uses her sexually, and then she conceives and becomes pregnant and delivers a baby. And then so she says that when I look at that daughter, some pain in my heart, even till date, comes out that um, that she is the result of that pain that rape I have witnessed. But then law is totally silent about it. So role of the law is to protect the dignity of women. It is not the role of the law to protect the dignity only of those who are virgin, who never had sex before, or and even if you see the punishment, the mode of punishment. So there is higher. The punishment is higher if it is a child who has been raped, if it is uh, uh, the younger generation who is being, and the media also, the anguish, the anger is higher when it is young students who are being raped. But when it is a married woman, or when it is someone who is working as a nurse in the hospitals, or someone who is in a daily wage worker, or like Bamri Devi, or like a Fulan Devi, all these people, but you don't find the same level of anguish that is coming out. So what is it that we are up to? So what is it that role of law, when you say role of law in stopping the abuse or rape of the woman, what is it doing actually is the question we need to ask. So why are we, and then please also understand that majority of the rape happens from someone whom people knew about. It's not the strangers. It's always either the uncle or the parent or the brother or the next door neighbor or the friend or the aunt, all these kind of people who are involved in the rape of a person. So then in these kind of cases, the consent, the proving that I did not consent becomes the biggest problem. Now, 2013 amendment also says that if a person says that she has not consented for rape, the court should presume that she has not consented. So this has particularly openly it has included in this provision of the law, so that the consent factor is not um, played with or twisted and turned, and then we accuse women every now and then of lying before the court and things like that. See, another thing is that re-victimization of women who are being raped. That is what we always see. So even law is trying its best to stop that, but then that has not been happening. The law says that her past sexual history should not be the concern when you do the rape cases. But I told you that even 2017 case, we see that her involvement, her knowing some person, the law presumes that she has consented. So these kind of things keep happening. And Mathura rape case, if you see, that was one of the well-known case where a little girl
Ma'am,
was raped in a. She was
excuse me,
raped
ma'am.
in a. Yes, she is.
Ma'am, 2 more minutes left.
Okay, sure.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
ma'am.
Yeah, she was raped in a police station itself. So we have a provision where the law, even under the rape laws, that if it is a police officer or if it is armed officers, or it is in the hospitals or in any government institutions that one rates, the punishment should be higher. So that means wherever the protection should come from, you have this thing of people not protecting and uh, raping the person whom they are supposed to protect. So this kind of threat is always there, and law also talks about openly that it tries to protect people. So I conclude by saying that uh, what we all can do is to support the rape survivor, which is what is required today, present day. Not just read in the newspaper and forget about it. Try to contact, try to see to it that her rehabilitation is done, which law isn't speaking in a loud terms, that her future is not forgotten, that her story is read, and that her punishment theory is read, and we are happy. No, we have to support, we have to stand by her and help these survivors. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. That was uplifting. I
Thank you.
request Monica to introduce our fourth panelist.
Thank you, Usha. Good morning. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce our today's speaker, Mrs. Santa Sylvia. Mrs. Santa completed her post graduation in sociology and her MNC extension from a renowned institution. She has pursued her diploma in human rights. Mrs. Santa worked in many organizations holding major responsibilities. Few among them are: she worked as a program manager in an international organization called VIVA. She initiated internal committee under prevention of sexual harassment at workplace for Amas pastries. She initiated occasional training program for underprivileged people in different slums. She then moved as a trainee for Smile Foundation. Mrs. Santa worked as a resource person for Igniters in St. Joseph's institutions. And also, she is the founder of NGO called Hopeness. We warmly welcome you, ma'am. Thank you. Over to you, Usha.
Thank you, Monica. Now we have Miss Santa Sylvia to take over.
Thank you. Good morning to all, and thank you to the team that has invited me once again and have me here. I'm just straight going into the topic because I have only 10 minutes. I've given the topic rape and society. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so the topic given to me today is rape and the society. I just want to talk about firstly the attitude of the society towards people who are being raped, especially young women. The society naturally, I think most of you have come across this situation where the society, I mean, a herd of people saying, it's always the girl's fault for her being raped, be it the Nirbhaya rape case or the recent rape case where the society and is just boiling. But still, on one hand, we have people that are really angry because these young girls are being raped. And on the other hand, like the lawyer was just telling us, it's only the young girls that are getting raped that comes to the forefront, while the married women and child sexual abuse does not even come to the limelight. Today, I'm just talking about the young girls because the society is talking about them. Let's focus on them, and then I'll talk to you about the other cases. There's a recent video that was made about this Mathura case, the young 19-year-old girl that was raped. And there are men that are saying, it's actually the girl's fault for her being raped. Okay. And some of the reasons that they're giving is, most of the working women get raped, women wearing inappropriate clothes, very funnily, single women and immoral women. Now, talking from their perspective, this is not my perspective, don't get me wrong, but talking about what society says and from what I get from these interviews and videos, are who are the most likely working women to get raped are women having inappropriate jobs. What according to the society is inappropriate jobs? Women working in call centers, corporate companies, women who are entrepreneurs, naturally, because the society is a very male dominated society and cannot accept the fact that women are working in call centers because they come back late in the night, they go out at odd timings, and then they get picked and dropped. Corporate women and entrepreneurs because they are being successful in life. The society also feels that women who have jobs that are from 9 to 5 or 9 to 6 are considered to be much more safer. They say women go out in the morning, they come back before sunset at home, so they are naturally safe. Okay, and women having women from the lower class having mean jobs like working as a maid or a domestic servant, or be it housekeeping. They're sexually harassed, they're being raped by higher authorities or the people who are giving them jobs, and then they can't raise their voice because it's the upper class, the people who are giving them money, people who are giving them jobs are the ones that are raped according to the society. What according to the society is again inappropriate clothes. Very funnily, the society has a clear definition of clothing itself, right? They say a girl cannot wear jean pant because it's a boy's clothes. A girl cannot wear short clothes. A girl should go out with dupatta. Now my very simple question is, a lot of girls have also been telling us, even if I wear a dupatta, people look at me now, I mean the men look at me in a bad way, they're leching at me. Different stories that I've heard from victims and women who are being sexually harassed. Now my simple question is, why then are small children being raped? Okay, why are small children being raped? Let's talk about a small 8-year-old child or a 6-year-old child or a 2-year-old child for that matter, who's not even hit puberty. If the girl has not hit puberty, then she's not even developing breast. If she doesn't even have breast, then what is she attracting? I mean, what are boys getting attracted to when she doesn't even have breast? Like when people are saying she's not wearing a dupatta, that's why she's getting raped. It's always, even in the Nirbhaya rape case, the lawyer who's so well educated very, very shamelessly came in front of the media and told the media that it's her fault. She was wearing inappropriate clothes. She was out at 8 o'clock. She was out with a man. I mean, that doesn't mean she can just be raped, right? And then single women. According to the society, women who most likely to be get raped are women without any male support in family, be it divorced women, or be it single women, be it widows or girls without a fatherly figure, or someone who is very weak. I've come across cases where girls come and tell me, or where girls come and tell me or share their trauma of saying, ma'am, if I want to go to the shop around 7 or 8 in the night, they send my younger brother, who is just like 4 or 5 years old, to accompany me to go out to the shop. Like, now that's what the people and the society thinks, that if a girl who's 16-year-old girl goes out all alone by herself late in the night, or not even late, in the evening, it's not safe for her. But if she's accompanied by a boy who's just about 5 years old or 6 years old, she's still considered to be safe because a male is accompanying her. Now tell me, what can a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old boy actually do when somebody is probably, say, not even sexually harassing her? Forget about sexually harassing her. Even if somebody is just trying to touch her, or even tries to snatch her chain or tries to snatch her bag, do you think this 5-year-old, 6-year-old boy can do anything about it? Naturally, no, right? But that's what the society thinks. And then immoral women. This is even more frustrating than anything else, because girls are expected to behave in a certain way. Women going to the bar, women going to pubs, women going to clubs are considered to be immoral women. They have a definition of immoral women. They brand tag you, they label you, saying, oh, she's not the right girl, oh, her character is loose, that's why. And then the society considers these women are completely deserve to be raped. I mean, this is so bad, this is ridiculous. And how one behaves in the public. When I heard about a few rape cases, and when I go around that place, because girls find it very difficult to report, but then when we talk to their family members, or be it the society around them, just go and find out, how is this girl, what about her, how was she doing before this incident happened to her, and all of that. So shamelessly, people who even have girls in their very own house would just come and tell us, at least I've heard a few people say this, that, she used to come by bike every day with a boy, she gets down at the corner of the street and then she walks back home. So, her character is not good and she deserves to be raped. Oh, I've seen this girl all the time talking over the phone. She's standing on the terrace, so she deserves to be raped. I mean, that just doesn't mean that she's a girl with a loose character. Right. So this is about how one behaves in public. Now, my question is, what is moral and what is immoral? Okay. Forget about what the society is saying. And even if they say, okay, this girl is immoral, even if she is a sex worker for that matter, I'm not saying even they are immoral. Maybe it's their situation that has pushed them to that. But even if it's an immoral woman, does she still get to deserve to get raped? Okay. Or an even harder question is, at the first place, do women even deserve to get raped? Forget about moral or immoral, or even forget about immoral women, but still, do women deserve to get raped? Okay. Are women the only ones that get raped? Then what about young girls and old women? Recently, I was reading a report during the lockdown. There was one 8-year-old girl that didn't have enough food at home because both her parents lost the job. And she was going house to house asking for food. And there were 6 men that have actually planned and spied on her, that preyed on her. They kept watching that, they used her situation. They kept watching that she didn't have food and just wanted to prey this girl and make her fall into their trap. At one point, when this young 8-year-old girl, I mean, she's a kid, she's so innocent. I can't even imagine how such small children can get raped. Went to their house to ask food. The eight of these, sorry, 6 of these men that were there in their house, they just asked her to come inside so they'll give her food. And then all 6 of them have raped her. The oldest of these 6 men was 75 years or 76 years old. And the youngest of these 6 men was 15-year-old. Okay, then what about old women? Another case that came to me during the COVID situation when we were doing the food relief is, I'm just sharing my personal experience, is I think a lady who was around 70 plus years, who's not even able to walk. Her son was a major chronic alcoholic, and he's borrowed money from someone. He was not able to repay the money, and 2 of these men, the son's friends, have come home, pushed this older lady onto the bed, and they've tried to rape her. And then this old lady was sharing her pain with me, and she was saying, I couldn't even scream, I couldn't even get up because she couldn't even get out of the bed because she's really old. And this is happening. Then what about them? Are they trying to attract these women? No, right? But it's always the blame game. And what about the young boys who are being sexually abused? What about the incest rape and marital rapes? There are fathers, there are grandfathers that rape their very own blood, their very own children. And marital rapes, right? The lawyer spoke about in detail, so I wouldn't be touching on that. But all of this is happening. And is it still the girl's fault? Is it still the baby's fault for her being raped? There are a lot of young boys that are being sexually abused, but in India, unfortunately, we say boys are strong, boys cannot cry. Especially when young boys cry, there's also an ad that came out about boys are strong, an amazing ad that says how even boys have feelings, but we as a society just suppress their feelings, and we keep telling them that you are a boy and you can't cry, and that's why a lot of these cases don't come out. And today, the suicidal rate of boys when compared to girls is so much more higher, but it's all interrelated, I would say. Okay, some of the horrifying cases I would like to share with you in the given time is a lady who was 8 months. I'm not sure if you all have heard of this case, but please do Google search if you all want to know more about this case. Somewhere in some part of Tamil Nadu, I think about 2 years ago, a pregnant lady who was 8 months pregnant was actually traveling pillion riding with her husband on the bike. And this lady and her husband were stopped by 3 other men in the middle of the road later in the night. This lady, I mean, it's so horrifying. I just can't even imagine. If you all really have to just close your eyes, listen to me and imagine. This 8 months old pregnant lady with her husband was stopped in the middle of the road. The lady's stomach was cut open. They pulled the baby out, threw the baby, and then raped the girl. And then by the end of it, she finally died. And the husband was brutally beaten. Okay. A lot of these cases don't even come to the forefront. Now tell me, was it the girl's fault? If you and I see a pregnant lady, even standing in the bus, the first thing we would do is, at least I would do, is stand up and offer my seat to her because she's pregnant, she's carrying a baby. And imagine at what point has our mindset and our focus from that kind of a protective mindset has been shifted to a place where, you even don't leave a pregnant lady, and how horrifying it would be to cut open the stomach of a pregnant lady and throw the baby out. It's just so inhuman. I don't think even animals or beasts would do this. Okay. And then the second case, these are cases that have really horrified me. The second case I think I've really shared in a few other platforms is a young girl who was 19-year-old was actually her husband was working in Delhi, and this girl is from UP. This girl is from UP, just 19-year-old, recently married. She had a baby that was about 8 or 9 months old, and she had the baby in her hand. She couldn't take the torture of her mother-in-law, who was constantly being emotionally abusing her, for not bringing enough dowry that the mother-in-law needed and the in-laws needed, while the husband was working somewhere in Delhi. So she couldn't take the torture of her husband anymore, and she left her house apparently that night with her young 9 months old baby in her hand. And coming to a city like Delhi, she didn't know what to do, when, where. This happened in 2017, and she's got into a share auto, and she's asked the people in the share auto if this would reach her where she has to go, where her husband was working, very innocently. And the girl has the auto rickshaw driver has said, yes, we are going to the same place. And they've taken advantage of the empty road that day, and because it was a little later in the night, they've taken advantage of the empty road later that night, and they've abused this girl. Initially started abusing the girl, but later went on to rape her. Now the girl's entire focus was only on the baby. As girls, I think we would all understand, that motherly feeling just comes in there when the girl has just constantly been focusing on the baby and not on the rape. And she's told them that, my baby is crying and I need to reach out to my baby. That's all, she was crying out to. And these men were really disturbed by the cry of the baby, and they've thrown the 9 months baby out of the moving auto rickshaw. The baby's head has hit the divider there on the road. The baby, and she started bleeding, and the baby has died without even realizing that the girl has taken back the bleeding baby, who's turned blue black in color, to a local government hospital, just naked, without even any clothes, because at that moment her only thing was about her baby, to save her baby. And then the doctors have declared that her baby was already brought dead. Okay, imagine, at what point and time did did these men actually go on to a point where they killed her baby and then they raped her. That's how badly they needed her. Forget about women. Now let's talk about animals. Okay, in Haryana, a pregnant goat was raped by 8 men for the whole night, and they used coconut oil as a lubricant, and then they slit the goat's body with blade. And the next early morning, the owner of the goat found the goat dead, the pregnant goat dead. He went to the court and he filed a case. Now tell me, is it the goat's fault for not wearing proper clothes, for being out late in the night? These are the common phrases or sentences that we hear from the people in general, that say, she deserved to be raped because she was out late in the night. She was wearing inappropriate clothes. She was of a loose character. Now, what about a goat? Okay, a special child in some part of India, I don't remember where, a special child was 11 years old, was raped by 15 men. This girl was hard of hearing. She was deaf and she couldn't speak, I believe. And she was raped by 15 men, from the water delivery boy, the boy who in her apartment, from the boy who used to bring water to her house, to the lift operator, to the security, to the gardener. Everybody has raped this, special child for so many months. And only after a few months, they were able to find out that this girl has been raped, only because she was being traumatized. The girl who was not able to express her feelings. Okay, was it her fault? It's always in India, anything that happens recently, even now. Even in that Nirbhaya rape case, where, that document was made about India's daughter, that documentary, which is banned online. I'm just talking about it so all of you will be able to relate it, because it was a very, a very familiar thing and not new to all of us, but these cases may be not heard. So this Delhi Nirbhaya rape case, where, the lawyers and the rapists actually said, if she didn't resist, only if she didn't back answer us, we wouldn't have done such brutal things to her. And the lawyer very shamelessly came and said, if it was my daughter who was out at 8 in the night with another man, or with a boy, I would have burnt her alive. We don't let our girls do all of this. Now, what kind of a statement is that? It's always blaming the victim. Okay. Uh, so I would just like to conclude saying it's not the woman's fault all the time. Now, what about babies? All these examples that I've given you. What about animals being raped? Okay, it's not the woman's fault. I think we really need to have a paradigm shift, and we need to see have a change in the perspective we see women. Okay, society should be taught to respect women and not to objectify them. Even a simple you know jewelry ad, or be it any of these advertisements. Uh, one of the advertisement I've seen maybe about 5 or 6 years ago, close to Lingarajpuram, there was a hoarding where it said, sin because you have all the rights, because you will be forgiven. And there's a picture of a girl who's half naked lying on the bed, and the man is wearing a shirt and a pant. Like, so we constantly keep objectifying women, be it for a jewelry ad. They say wear the minimal clothes, be it, or even any movie dance and all that we see. The girl will be wearing minimum clothes even in an Iceland, and she'll be dancing in the snow, while a man will be all, wearing blazer, suited up, and all of that. The more we objectify women, the more men take that into their hands and saying, okay, all they have to do for us is just, um, satisfy us. And when girls don't agree to it, they just pull them, throw acid on their face, attack them, do whatever, because they think it's their right. Okay. I think more awareness needs to be created in the society at every level, not only like in a college level or school level, but at every level. Even for the mothers, I would say, for that matter, start teaching children how to, raise awareness on parenting, how to teach children, and especially boys, how to be protectors and not to be take advantage of girls and say, and all. I think we are all equally created with equal potential. It's not the woman's fault. Okay. Here, I think the lawyer will be able to explain better during the question and answer session about how, the opposite prosecutor, or, the other parties would naturally blame the girl. At the first place, she's already being traumatized that she's raped, because that is something that should never happen to anybody. She's physically, emotionally, mentally, in every way, going through stress and abuse, and she's hurt. And on top of that, people ask, oh, where did he touch you? At what time? Where? Why did you go out at the first place? What was your job? What was your business? I mean, we're always victimizing the victim. And that is maybe one reason why they don't come out to report. With a lot of pain and grief, I'm here today sharing my story also, that, when I was just in about, say, fourth standard or fifth standard, I don't really remember, but maybe around that age, when I was just about 10, 9 or 10 years, I was sexually abused by one of my very close cousin. And even though my parents were very close with me, I couldn't talk to even my very own mother about it until, a few years ago, when I shared this with my mother. And the first thing she said is, no, I don't think he would have done this to you. And I was immediately, tears just started tickling down my eyes and my cheeks. And I said, why would I lie? Why would I say, such a thing about him? And I'm your own daughter. If you as a mother, fail to accept the fact, and if you don't want to believe me, then who else would? And this hurt me more than what actually happened to me when I was a child. So this is one common thing that also happens in India. 1 in every 2 children are sexually abused. Children cry. We, on the other hand, tell children that you're fit for nothing, you're hopeless, you're not able to study. But we actually don't realize what they're going through. They're not able to. In India, we don't even teach children the name of the private parts. Okay. We teach them that this is their eyes, nose, everything else. But especially when it comes to the private parts, we're not even ready to teach them the names of the private parts. And then when some trusted or known, very close person in the family does this to them, they don't have the words to tell, or who to tell, how to tell, is the biggest confusion. So I think today, let's take this platform, as to be able to pledge and promise ourselves that, we're not going to let this continue. At some point, all of us are going to be parents too. And if we want a society that is, if we want our children to be safe, and if we want to live in a safe society, I think the change needs to start from us. Okay, you take a stand today to say, I will not be that one person. I will be the protector. I will teach my children. I will teach my nephews, my niece about how to keep themselves safe and how to respect women. They don't have, all the rights to just go and grab a woman when she says no, and just rape her and brutally do things to her. Okay. And to the ones who are in the same sailing in the same boat as me, if you've not heard this before in your life, because most of the children get abused when you were young as a child, and like to say am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, I've got poor connection. But what I was trying to say is, since I'm a victim of child sexual abuse and this has happened to me, It might have happened to you as well. All I would like to say before closing is you're not alone. It's not your fault. If you've not shared about your story of abuse with anyone, because in India it says 1 in every 2 child would be sexually abused when they're children. That's the statistics. I would just like to encourage you and say there is life after abuse. So don't stop. Don't let your world be shattered. If you need more help, talk to us about it. And you're not alone. Don't let this happen to the next generation. Start talking about it and start protecting the next generation from it. Okay?
Ma'am,
Thank you.
I want to say something.
Yes, Prince.
Ma'am, we discussed these all solutions, but none of them are permanent solution to end this threat. These are not permanent. We can't even control with these all. We मैम कितना भी हम लोग अवेयरनेस फैला लें, मॉन्स्टर्स ही रहेंगे. They will not change.
Prince, I'm very sorry to say, but let the panel discussion begin and then I'll answer to your question, if that's okay.
Okay, ma'am, no problem.
So thank you, guys.
Thank you, ma'am. It was a wonderful speech by you. And now I like to call upon Raj Kishan from St. Joseph College to speak.
Hello everyone. First of all, good morning. As of now, due to little glitches, kindly ignore them, but we'll go ahead with the panel discussion. I'm Raj Kishan from St. Joseph's College, Bangalore, India. So currently, I'm speaking about a man's perspective in this dominant and prevalent rape culture and rape in general in our nation, India. So going ahead, I'll not hide behind the hashtag not all men because I definitely understand all women, irrespective of caste, creed, culture, religion, color, definitely go through a form definitely go through some form of rape, abuse, or sexual abuse at some point of their life. So what I'm presenting right now is not in just in a no in a particular perspective. I'm trying to talk about a man's perspective in general about this particular rape culture. So going ahead with it, if you just take a moment for ourselves and imagine what would we as men be in the society without women? We'll just be waging wars against each other. We will not be doing the right things. You ask me what a woman brings to the table. A woman brings compassion. A woman brings humanity. A woman brings humanity into humans. So without them, we will not be able to do anything. So whatever we are today as a society, a major part of the contribution definitely comes from a woman's side. Okay, now I go.
Can I say something?
Surely, Prince. Can you kindly wait for it because right now we are in the middle of a panel. If you kindly wait for the panel, it would be great.
Okay.
Thank you. So here, when I wake up every day and every single day of my life, until now at least, every time I wake up and I see at least one rape-related headline making to the newspaper front pages every day, it makes me feel sad. It makes me despair that my fellow human being has to go through that kind of abuse or in any physical way or emotional way or in a lot of different ways which you'll not be able to express in words. The amount of pain that person had to go through. I recently read this saying, when in dark, a man fears it's a ghost, but a woman fears it's a man. So the amount of insecurity we as men have instilled in the society, have instilled in the hearts of a woman are extreme. We have performed not to the right paths, or we are not to the right standards as men in the society. I am not sure how I can express my despair or how I can express my anger about what happens every day. It clearly shows about the society or society in general, inclusive of men, women, of everyone, about how far we have, ignored this rape. Like, there are so many rapes which are reported. I'm not talking about the ones which are not reported. According to the live wire, about 99% of the cases are not reported. Uh, so in case about the 1% which are reported, even then, do all of these people get justice? The lawyers try their best, the social activists try to give them moral support. There are a lot of people who encourage them to speak up, but I still wonder, when will one day be, that all the rape cases which are reported will get justice in some or the other way possible. In particular, I'll go ahead with talking about a man's perspective. You asked me, I really wonder, how will I ever stand up? How will I ever tell this is wrong? Rape is definitely wrong. Because every time I stand up, I am pinpointed saying, you're a man too, you're a part of this crime too. Because being a man in some point of the society, we are part of the crime, I agree. But we entirely are not, we like not all men. Again, I'm saying, I'm not factorizing it to a particular group, but I do understand, you need to understand that not all men around you, not all men in the society, not everybody here, not all, especially men around you, are not like prevalent to rape you or instill any form of fear within you. Every time I stand up, the blame finger is pointed towards me again, saying you're a man. Every time I stand up and offer my seat to a fellow lady in the bus, the people around me say I'm attracted to her. Every time I hug my female best friend in public, people say I want to get physical with her. Every time I adore a kid, I adore a 7-year-old kid, for more than a few seconds, I'm being called a rapist. I'm being told that I look at her from the rapist perspective or a rapist view. Every time I ride with my sister on the pavilion seat, I'm being called a less of a man because I know I'm sitting in the back seat and I let my sister drive front. So in that perspective, I'm a less of a man. I don't know, every time I do this, every time I take care of the people around me, I'm called a simp. So I really wonder, how do I explain to the society? How do I explain and stand up and tell? Rape is definitely wrong. I definitely stand in solidarity with the victim that what has happened definitely shouldn't have happened. So as in men, not all men, we do stand up and we do really want to express our opinion that what is happening is definitely wrong and we will fight for it. I really wonder, how do I, in at least, I'm not talking in the eyes of the law, at least in the eyes of the society, a woman is free until she's proven guilty, but a man is guilty. A man is guilty as soon as he's accused. A man is only free until the law says, oh no, he didn't commit the crime. So you can imagine the generalizing or stereotyping about the man in the society. Again, here when I report this, when I talk about this rape culture, as previously told, I'm going to tell that majority of these cases where a man attacks a woman, I definitely agree. But I'm not going to ignore the minority where there was other sides to where the animals were attacked and a man was attacked. So rape doesn't happen in only one form; it happens in multiple ways and multiple forms. It happens to people of all genders and all animals in that extent, as Santa Ma'am was telling. So right now, I really am not sure about when I look. I really wish that someday I'll be able to look at a girl and not be judged for looking at her from a negative aspect or looking at her in a rapist view or looking at her in to harm herself. So every time I look at a person or every time I look at my other person, I hope that someday I will not be told that I'm looking at it from a wrong perspective. But for this to happen, I also really wish when this person I'm looking at, I hope that when I look at them, I don't instill any form of fear that I can hurt them, I can abuse them. So for this to happen in any way possible, that I don't instill that fear in the opposite person, either a woman or a man or in any person, that I'm not looking at you from the rapist perspective. We as a society need to change a lot of small things, because these small things are what is going to differ us as a society. These small contributions or small efforts which we can put in from our side is going to change the perspective of how we as a society are performing in this rape culture. You can right now I can talk about a few responsibilities because time shortage is there. I'll try winding up as soon as possible. There are few responsibilities as men or boys or as the male gender we can do. If every time something happens, every time there is a particular there is a victim who rises up and says what has happened, this was what happened to me. We need to stand up for that person, irrespective of a man, irrespective of a woman. We need to stand up for the person who came up and told that this is what happened to me, because we can that is a minimum, that is a basic minimum we can do as a friend, as a responsible citizen. We need to stand up for a person who rises up. We need to stand up for the women around us. We need to stand up for the men around us. We need to stand up for what is truth. Again, the contradictory of what is truth and what isn't is definitely a major extent. But we need to look into, I'd like to quote this recent instance where one of the very famous cricketer for not performing well in his recent form, his 6-year-old daughter was threatened online. That right now this is a major form of rape threats, that online rape threats, like I will come and assault you, I will come and harass you and stuff and all. So this 6-year-old daughter who has no idea about all these things is openly getting rape threats in our social media. So this exactly shows how we are performing as a society. You ask me what we can do, we can report it. So that happens. We know that instance because there is a very famous cricketer. But don't we all know some instance where, to our own friends, our own female friends or male friends received abusive pictures or abusive comments on social media? What we can do is report it to the cyber police cell. We can, instead of taking action instead of taking the law into our own hands, we can report it and we can make sure that the justice is done to that particular person, that particular case, that what he did was wrong or what he or she did was wrong. Then again, what we can ensure is women's safety, not just by telling them, wear this certain kind of clothes, follow this proper etiquettes, when we ourselves aren't following it. How many of us look at how many of us do look at women and not objectify them? We need to stop, stereotyping women about what they need to wear, what they need to do, or stereotyping anyone in general as well. So right now, there is just two more points I'll just finish with. We need to make others understand. As previously quoting, when I sat behind my sister, this is my personal instance. When I sat behind my sister and I was driving this way, my sister was driving this vehicle, I was called, "Oh my God, you're a man and you let your sister drive. How, are you really a man?" Or "Come on, you're a man, do this. Don't take a no for an answer." All these kind of statements are definitely wrong. We need to stand up and tell. We all define our own manhood. So no, don't let anybody tell a man is this person, a man is that, because we all define our own manhood. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. So with this, and there's just one more point which I would like to add to the recent person. So when there are people who are coming up, there are they have proven, and as the lawyer was telling, the justice is done, that the person also, that the victim is proven, the case is proven guilty. How many of us do? The social stigma attached with the person who was a victim is lot. We can overcome that stigma by agreeing them, by accepting their flaws, by accepting whatever happened to them was perfectly all right. And in a sense, we perfectly all right in the sense that there is life after that, is what I mean. Yeah, that there is life after the rape also, that we can still include them in our daily activities. We can control the amount of pain that person has to go through because of the stigma that was attached because that person was victim. So with this, I would like to end my talk by quoting one last statement: "A no means no." So definitely, irrespective of whatever vulnerable situation your other part, or your female partner, or your male partner, or any person, unless and until you get the consent that it is agreeable, go ahead with it, or please agree to the consent before doing anything in particular, because a consent is only given as a yes. He or she didn't refuse, they didn't tell no, we thought they told no for fun is not a form of consent, because only a consent is only when you're given, only when a consent is given, you can even think about it. But at least until then, even when the consent is given and withdrawn, we need to understand as men the basic understanding of what a woman goes through, or what a rapist or what a victim, what a rapist will think, or about when about a victim. Even the doing the most basic things about accepting the victim is going to solve us. Thank you.
Thank you, Raj. That was moving. Miss Riddhi Ranka is ready to share her views with us. Over to you, Riddhi.
Thank you, Usha. Hey guys, I'm Riddhi, just another frustrated girl like most of you. So I once posted a picture about unequal pay on Instagram, and one of my classmates replied to it and said, "Wow, Riddhi, you're becoming a feminist these days." It just struck me then that it's so shameful that whenever I speak up or voice my opinion about anything like equality, people have to label me as a feminist. I was damned because people have such a patriarchal mindset that they have to give me such labels. When this happened, I thought, what is feminism? I'm a feminist because I say that girls also have a voice. So I read more about feminism, and it basically talks about a concept that women should also have the right to vote, to earn equal, and also be allowed to wear whatever they want. So, in my opinion, feminism is nothing but a radical notion that women are human beings, right? So, why call it feminism at all? You could just call it equalism, right? So, coming to the main point today, in our country, we worship the land as our mother, and we worship many other female goddesses. We have festivals like Kanya Puja. The same women in India face many problems like domestic violence, female foeticide, dowry, unequal pay, body shaming, acid attacks, rape, inequality. The list is countless. So, like coming to my personal opinion, when I was a kid, my parents, like any other parents, were concerned. I wasn't allowed to go to even the supermarket, which was just like 500 meters away from my home, alone after 5 p.m. So whenever I needed something, I was allowed to go with one of my friends. I usually would accompany one of my friends called Isha. On one of our normal trips like this, I still remember we were around eighth grade. A random guy passing by tried to kiss her on the cheek. She didn't say anything. I didn't realize. But then when I asked if something was wrong, she told me what happened. I was an aggressive kid. So I started following him to, I don't know what kind of hit him. I couldn't catch up with him. But when we reached home, she was sad. I wanted to complain to her parents about what happened. She didn't let me. You know why? Because she was scared she wouldn't be allowed to go to the supermarket ever again. We stay in a country where we don't have sex education for kids. No, we have to teach young kids, young girls about the difference between what good touch is and what bad touch is. As soon as a girl reaches around 8 years of age, the parents teach her the difference between what good touch is and what bad touch is. I don't say that's a bad thing. It's a necessity in a country like India. But you know what my problem is? You have to teach an 8-year-old kid about what a good touch is and what a bad touch is, but you don't think of an appropriate age to teach a boy about consent. Rape is the fourth most common crime in India. Uh, Fourth most common crime against women in India. A report by the National Crime Bureau in 2019 stated that 95% of the accused rapists were people known to the victim, and about 16% of the total victims were minors or below 18 years of age. And who was blamed for it? Who was blamed for the rape? 90% of the times, the girls were blamed for reasons like she wore a crop top, she was going out at night, she was wearing a skirt. Are you serious? So I study law, and when I was reading the history of Hindu personal laws, I was in shock because a female was considered the property of her father up until marriage, and upon marriage, the property of her husband. How cool, right? I'm not saying we've not come a long way from that perspective, but like Sumitra ma'am told, marital rape in India is still not considered a crime. Did you know that the definition of the word crime in the Indian Penal Code explicitly states that sexual intercourse by a man with his wife is not considered a rape? So it basically allows a husband to have sex with her wife against her wish without her consent. Wow, we're so lucky. Women aren't the property of her husband anymore, right? In 2019, an amendment was brought about, like ma'am said, and marital rape was brought under the ambit of domestic violence. So now, where a husband rapes his wife, he is punished with a 2 year imprisonment, compared to when Section 377 was not decriminalized. Sex between two consenting adults was punishable with life imprisonment. Like what I feel worst about is even women like your grandmom and mothers who have seen this going on from generations, usually moral principle their own kids, like their daughters, on how they should dress, or teach them tricks on how they should save themselves, and say stuff like don't go out at night and all. But I never see a woman teach his son how not to ill treat a woman, or for that matter any other human being. I was told that you know a solution to reduce rape was that all girls need to be taught self defense. But according to me, rape can actually be stopped by simply teaching your sons the difference between right and wrong. I would like to conclude by saying that for a nation that loves its sons so much, they sure forgot how to raise them. They were so bent upon moral principling their neighbors' daughters that they forgot to teach their own sons some sanskar. Thank you.
Thank you, Riddhi. That was really intense. I thank each and every speaker for sharing your knowledge and views with us. It's really heartbreaking to know where our society is up to. Now, it's time for question and answer session. Rules to be followed for asking your questions and or doubts. Mention your name, name of the panelist to whom you want to ask your question, followed by your query. I repeat, it's your name, name of the panelist, followed by your query. The question will not be considered if the above format is not followed. Students can use the chat option for the same. We request you all not to unmute. Repetitive questions will not be considered. Audience, you can now raise your questions.
Um, Hi, I am going to moderate and read out questions. So we have our first question from Kavya. How can a girl woman prevent herself at the time when she is subjected to rape? To prevent herself, does a girl have the right to harm those people who accuse her?
The question is for Ma'am Sumitra.
Yeah, sure. So prevent herself. See, the thing is, there is a section under the Indian Penal Code which talks about self-defense. You can always use self-defense to the extent possible to protect yourself. But it is also true that more women have used self-defense and tried to protect themselves. They were being killed. So sometimes you cannot expect every woman to react in a similar way. So you do not know. We can say that we are very strong women, we will fight it out, we will not let anyone touch us. But at that particular moment and circumstances, we do not know how one can face it. But self-defense, of course, you can kill that person, you can attack back that person. The self-defense will definitely prove you in the court. That is always there. So you can harm, but not to the extent of murder. There was a case in a domestic violence thing. It was Provoked. You might have heard there's a movie wherein they have showed that the constant domestic violence on women had led her to kill her husband. So it was called, I forgot, it was called the particular syndrome, which leads to the victim to take that step. So even in the rape cases, yes, you can attack back. You can do anything for a self-defense. That is allowed. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. We next have a question from Sri Hari to Santa ma'am. What is your opinion on the recent viral video where UP people from age 15 to 50, men and women, say that rape is women's fault? Santa ma'am, I'm going to repeat the question. What is your opinion on the recent viral video where UP people from the age 15 to 50, men and women, say rape is a woman's fault?
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, I was speaking with my mic off. So actually, I was talking about this particular viral video when during my presentation about how shamefully, the government comes forward. Not the government, I mean the people, the society come forward to actually blame the girl when it's actually not the girl's fault. Only when something happens, in their house is when they will realize. Especially, in that even in that Nirbhaya rape case, it was a very viral video that was going around, similar to the kind of viral video that's going on now. A whole lot of men, that's the video I was referring to, a whole lot of men are actually coming up and saying it's actually a girl's fault. The more they go out, the more short skirts they wear, the more they smoke, the more they drink, this is going to increase. I mean, it's a real shame that they're talking like this instead of actually educating their children. So I think unless and until we start educating our sons how to protect, girls and help them understand that a no is a no, no matter what, I think this will not stop. So it's time that we change the way we think and the way we raise our children.
Thank you, ma'am. Now we have next question from Monica to Santa, ma'am. Government should punish these rapists so much that there should be fear before lust when men look at the woman in a wrong way. Pornography needs to be banned. Be it movies, books, media, if women are projected in a wrong way, they need to be punished. Be it women or men, we need to stand up against such brutality. Could we implement this to reduce these inhuman crimes, ma'am?
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I 100% agree with what Monica was saying and how pornography feeds rape. There's one organization called Rescue in Mysore that did the research. They went and interviewed all these rapists in Parampanagra, Agrahara, just to start off with Bangalore. And more than 95% of the rape victims there, convicted rape victims, say they were at one point addicted to pornography. So I very strongly say that we should, as a society, stand up against pornography and anything that's objectifying women. For Monica and the others who have such similar questions, I would like to say, quote an example of this movie called Kamal Hassan's movie, which was actually projecting one particular community in the society as terrorists, right? I think it's called Vishwarubam. Just because the entire community came up together and protested against this movie, the movie was again taken into consideration, and a whole lot of scenes were banned. But before that, they said the movie itself will be banned. Now today, how many of us actually, when we see such ads or such scenes in movies of bedroom scenes, which is soft pornography, how many of us actually protest against it? How many of us even report these cases to the cybercrime? We don't. So somewhere we have a part to play. So I think it's in our hand. We need to take the action and stop this.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Our next question is from Usha to Miss Sumitra. Why does law take too long to punish these rapists? Why don't they take severe action or immediate action?
Yeah, Usha, first of all, do not have this impression that in every rape case we are punishing the rapists. No. Majority of the rape cases goes in acquittal. The rapists were not punished. It's when very rare cases where media makes a big exposure to the case. Those cases are put into fast track because there is public demand, and those cases gets attention and something is done in that kind of cases. But otherwise, generally, if you read majority of the cases, the accused, the rapists were not punished, and they were let go because of the lack of proof of rape. I told you the law has changed. Earlier, proving rape itself has been a big challenge with the court because of the consent factor and that person not having any injury on her body, that they should not resist. So the presumption is that there is no rape. So these kind of things were very, very common in the cases and helped the rapist to let himself free from the punishment. So and another thing, Usha, I want you to understand is that it is not that just by punishing the rapist we are going to achieve anything. Yes, of course, punishment is important, but how to stop the rape, how to stop this kind of crimes against women, and how are we going to rebuild the lives of these women who undergo these kind of things? Punishment will put him in jail, but what about her? No one thinks about her life, her future, nothing, no support is given to her, rehabilitation, no counseling, nothing, no support I can see in the legal this thing, though Supreme Court has time and again saying that we should support, but I hardly see any infrastructure, any support system being built around the survivors. So it's not that we feel that punishment is everything, that punishment will not reform the society if you think like that. It is not the punishment, because punishment has its own challenges there. So, but it is more than punishment. How we improve the facilities for this woman, and also how we try to change the men who do rape. How do we how do we face them, or how do we challenge them? How do we try to understand that what is it that makes somebody a monster, like someone is saying? So what it is, again, a social factor. Don't forget it. It's not that one fine day someone